All right, so you understand the rent-to-rent model. You've seen the numbers, you know it works. Now comes the real question. How do you actually find these properties? And how do you get a landlord to say yes? Because here's the truth. Most beginners mess this up. They target the wrong properties. They pitch too early, or they sound like they're running some dodgy side hustle. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact checklist for finding the right properties, the words to use when talking to landlords and agents, and the mistakes you absolutely must avoid. Let's dive in. First things first. Not every property works for rent-to-rent. You need to be strategic. You're looking for properties that fit a specific profile, places where the numbers make sense and the deal actually works for everyone involved. Here's your checklist. Number 1. Location. You want suburbs with strong rental demand. Think areas close to universities, hospitals, transport hubs, or major employment centres. Places where people need housing and shared accommodation makes sense. Number 2. Vacancy and demand. Check the local rental market. Are properties sitting vacant for weeks? Or are they getting snapped up in days? You want areas where vacancy is low and demand is high. A simple way to check? Jump on realestate.com.au or domain. Search for rentals in your target suburb. See how long listings have been up. If everything's renting fast, that's a green light. Number 3. Low maintenance homes. You're not looking for a renovation project. You want a property that's in good condition, clean, functional, doesn't need major work. Why? Because every dollar and every hour you spend fixing things eats into your profit. You want properties where you can do light cosmetic updates, furnish the rooms, and get tenants in quickly. Number 4. 4 bedrooms or more. This is critical for co-living. You need at least 4 bedrooms to make the numbers work, ideally 5 or 6. Why? Because your income comes from multiple rooms. The more rooms, the more rent you collect. Simple math. But don't go too big either. An 8-bedroom house might sound great, but it's harder to manage, and you'll need council approvals in most areas. Stick to 4 to 6 bedrooms to start. Number 5. Good price-to-income ratio. This is where the deal actually works or doesn't. You need the weekly rent you're paying the landlord to be low enough that when you rent by the room, there's a healthy margin. A rough rule of thumb. If the property's weekly rent is $800 to $1,200, and you can realistically rent each room for $300 to $350, you've probably got a deal worth exploring. Run the numbers before you approach anyone. Don't fall in love with a property and force the math to work. It either works or it doesn't. Number 6. Easy parking. This one's underrated, but it matters. If your tenants need cars and there's nowhere to park, you'll struggle to fill rooms. Look for properties with driveways, garages, or street parking that's not a nightmare. It makes your life easier and your property more attractive. Number 7. Separate living spaces. This is about livability. Can people actually coexist comfortably? You want properties with separate living areas, multiple bathrooms if possible, and a layout where tenants aren't constantly on top of each other. The better the living experience, the longer tenants stay. And longer tenants mean less turnover, less hassle, and more profit for you. Number 8. Zoning that supports shared housing. Now, I'm not going to give you a compliance masterclass here. That's not what this video is for. But you do need to check that the property isn't in a zone where co-living is outright banned. In most Australian states, renting rooms to unrelated tenants is perfectly legal under standard residential tenancy laws. But some councils have specific rules about the number of unrelated people, or whether you need approvals. Do your basic homework. Talk to your council. Get clarity. Don't assume. And if you're working with us as your mentor, we'll help you navigate this. You don't need to become a zoning expert on day one. You just need to not ignore it. All right, now let's talk about the conversation, because this is where most beginners freak out. Here's what you need to understand. Landlords and agents aren't against rent-to-rent. They just don't want headaches. They don't want risk. And they don't want someone who sounds unprofessional or unreliable. Your job is to position yourself as the solution to their problems, not as some kid trying to make a quick buck. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Do your homework first. Before you ever reach out, you need to know what the property's currently listed for, what comparable room rents are in the area, whether the numbers work for you. If the deal doesn't make sense, don't waste anyone's time. Move on. Step 2. Start with agents, not landlords. Why? Because agents deal with investment properties all day. They understand business. They're used to having conversations about deals. Find properties that have been listed for a while. That means the landlord's probably frustrated. They want a tenant. You're offering them certainty. Step 3. Use professional, confident language. Here's a template you can adapt. Hi, agent name. I'm looking at property address. I run a professional co-living business, and I'm interested in taking the property on a longer-term lease, 3 to 5 years, at the listed rent or potentially slightly above. We provide guaranteed rent to the landlord, we fully insure the property, and we handle all tenant management and maintenance coordination. The property stays well maintained because we manage it as a business, not a typical rental. We operate as a registered company, and we're happy to provide references from other landlords we work with. Would the landlord be open to discussing this arrangement? That's it. Professional, clear, value-focused. Here's what you're selling to the landlord. Guaranteed rent. They get paid whether rooms are full or not. Longer lease terms. 2 to 3 years of certainty, not 6 to 12 months. Company tenancy. You're a business, not a random tenant. Fully insured. Landlord and contents insurance in place. Better property condition. Managed homes stay cleaner than typical rentals. Hands off for them. You handle everything. They just collect rent. This is a good deal for landlords. You're not asking for favors. You're offering them a better option than a standard tenancy. Now, here's what not to say. Don't say Airbnb Arbitrage. Don't say, I'm just getting started, or sound uncertain. Don't mention profits or how much you're making. Don't oversell or sound desperate. Don't ask for rent reductions on the first call. Keep it simple. Keep it professional. Speak like a business owner, not someone begging for a chance. Step 4. Always ask for written permission to sublet. This is non-negotiable. In your lease agreement, you must have a clause that allows you to sublet or take on co-tenants. Don't assume. Don't operate in a grey area. If the landlord or agent says no to subletting, thank them politely and move on. There are plenty of landlords who will say yes. Let me save you some pain by showing you the mistakes I see all the time. Mistake number 1. Pitching too early. You get excited. You see a property. You reach out immediately without running the numbers. Don't do this. Always do your feasibility analysis first. Know your costs, your income, your margin. Then reach out. Otherwise, you're wasting everyone's time, including your own. Mistake number 2. Sounding like Airbnb Arbitrage kids. Look, Airbnb Arbitrage gave rent-to-rent a bad name in some circles. Landlords got burned by people who didn't know what they were doing, trashed properties, or disappeared. You need to distance yourself from that. Use professional language. Talk about co-living, not room hacking. Position yourself as a housing provider, not a side hustler. Mistake number 3. Not checking basic compliance. I'm not saying you need a law degree, but you do need to understand the basics. Can you legally rent rooms in this zone? Do you need any permits or approvals? What are the tenancy laws in your state? Ignorance isn't an excuse. Do the basic research. If you're unsure, we can guide you through this step by step. Mistake number 4. Not asking for written permission to sublet. I already said this, but I'm saying it again because it's that important. Never operate without explicit written permission in your lease. Don't rely on a verbal, yeah, should be fine. Get it in writing. Protect yourself. Mistake number 5. Overpaying. Sometimes beginners get so desperate to get their first deal that they agree to rent that's too high. The deal has to work for you too. Don't squeeze your margins to zero just to get a property. Be patient. The right deal will come. Mistake number 6, targeting the wrong properties. Expensive suburbs, tiny 2-bedroom units, properties that need major renovations. These don't work for rent to rent. Stick to the checklist I gave you. Be disciplined. Don't force deals that don't fit the model. Here's the thing most beginners don't realize. You're not asking for permission. You're offering a solution. Landlords want reliable tenants. They want guaranteed income. They want less hassle. You're providing all of that. So approach these conversations with confidence, not arrogance, but confidence. You're running a business. You're solving a problem. You're bringing value. When you frame it that way, the conversation changes. You're not begging. You're partnering. And yes, some landlords will say no. That's fine. Move on. There are thousands of properties out there. You only need one good deal to start. So let's recap. You now know what properties to look for. You know how to talk to landlords and agents professionally. And you know the mistakes to avoid. The next step? Actually securing your first deal and getting it cash flowing in the next 90 days. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through the exact process. From making an offer, to setting up the property, to getting your first tenants in. Even if you're starting with limited funds. Because understanding the model is one thing. Executing it is another. I'll see you in the next one.